Welcome back, nerds! Today we're diving into the gritty world of street-level superheroes, those fearless fighters who protect the city's darkest corners, the kind of heroes that prove you don't need cosmic powers to be unstoppable. Let's jump right in. Kicking off the list today with the most iconic Marvel street-level hero, Spider-Man. Really, is there anyone better to start us off today? Spider-Man is often considered the top street-level hero due to his immense strength, agility, intelligence, and most importantly, his unwavering moral compass. He consistently takes down both common criminals and supervillains, and has even defeated opponents as powerful as the Hulk, although that's done using equal parts physical and mental strength. Unlike many heroes who almost exclusively operate on global or even cosmic scales, Spider-Man's battles are often rooted in the neighborhoods of New York City, where he tackles everything from petty crime to supervillains, always prioritizing the safety and well-being of everyday people. His scientific genius, showcased through inventions like his web shooters, gives him an edge over adversaries who might otherwise overpower him physically. What truly makes Peter Parker unbeatable at the street level is his relentless determination, compassion, and sense of responsibility. He not only defeats villains, but also seeks to help rehabilitate those he encounters, embodying the spirit of a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man who never gives up on his city or its people. This combination of power, heart, and local focus cements his status as the top-tier street-level hero in the Marvel Universe, or even the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because I'm feeling brave. Taking spot number 9 is the original holder of one of the most famous names in the superhero genre, Dick Grayson. Dick Grayson was the first Robin. He was the first kid to join the Dark Knight on his crusade against evil, the first one that made everyone question Batman's methods because what do you mean he's only 3 feet tall and fighting the Joker? But then you see Robin do an acrobatic move combined with martial arts you didn't know existed, and you keep your mouth shut. Eventually, Dick Grayson had to grow up in the comics, and when this happened, he transitioned from Batman's sidekick Robin to the independent vigilante Nightwing. Grayson was trained to the peak of human ability by Batman himself, mastering martial arts, detective work, and acrobatics. Unlike many superheroes, he has no superpowers, yet his relentless drive, keen deductive mind, and unbreakable moral compass allow him to outmaneuver and outthink even the strongest adversaries. Grayson's leadership qualities, honed as the original Robin, as Nightwing, and as a key member and leader of teams like the Teen Titans, make him a natural at uniting others and inspiring hope in the darkest situations. He's been described as street-level Superman because he combines Superman's compassion and selflessness with Batman's tactical genius and grit. You can't beat him, his impact, or his face card. Literally unbeatable. The gold standard for street-level heroes, if you will. Up next, at number 8, we have a hero that is making all kinds of headlines right now, Daredevil. Of course Daredevil is here, he has to be. He's proven time and time again in the comics, his Netflix show, or more recently in Daredevil Born Again, that he can't be taken down. Matthew Murdock, aka Daredevil, stands as an unbeatable street-level hero because of his unique combination of relentless determination, extraordinary senses, and moral integrity. Blinded as a child in a chemical accident, Murdock's remaining senses were heightened to superhuman levels, granting him a radar-like perception of his environment that compensates for his lack of sight. Trained by the mysterious martial artist Stick, Matt became an expert fighter, able to take on multiple opponents and even superhuman threats with skill and precision. What truly sets Daredevil apart, however, is his unwavering courage and resilience. He is not bulletproof or invulnerable, not by a long shot, but he faces overwhelming odds, enduring pain and injury to protect the innocent and his community in Hell's Kitchen. As both a skilled attorney and masked vigilante, Matt fights for justice on all fronts, using his legal knowledge and street-level tactics to outmaneuver criminals and corrupt systems alike. Coming in at number 7 is The Question. The Question, or Victor Sage, stands out as an unbeatable street-level hero due to his unparalleled investigative skills, relentless pursuit of justice, and formidable combat training. His martial arts mastery makes him a dangerous hand-to-hand combatant, able to take on threats far above the average street criminal. Sage operates without wealth, superpowers, or even sometimes advanced technology, relying instead on resourcefulness, grit, and an incorruptible moral code that makes him almost impossible to manipulate or sway. His unwavering sense of right and wrong, combined with his ability to adapt and outthink opponents, allows him to thrive thrive in the chaotic, morally gray world of street-level crime, making Victor Sage a truly intimidating and nearly unbeatable force on the streets. But if after all that, you're still not sure if he's all that, he figured out Batman's secret identity and then gained his trust after. Spot 6 goes to the one-man army Frank Castle, better known as the Punisher. The Punisher is a nightmare to fight for many reasons: extensive military training, an arsenal of weapons, and a ruthless approach to battle. But most of all, it's his willingness to do whatever it takes that makes him almost impossible to stop. Unlike most vigilantes, the Punisher operates with absolute resolve. He eliminates criminals permanently, ensuring that they never harm anyone again, and he does so with tactical precision that allows him to outmaneuver even superhuman adversaries. Ultimately, Frank Castle's combination of elite skills, psychological resilience, and ruthless effectiveness in dispensing justice make him one of the most difficult and unbeatable street-level heroes in the Marvel Universe. At our halfway point in Spot 5, we have Cassandra Cain, aka Orphan, which is not a read, that is the name that she picked for herself based on her father's former alias. Her father is gone, but I think her mother is still alive. Plus, she has Bruce Wayne as a father figure, because one thing about that man, if he sees a dark-haired sad teen, he's going to be their father figure. It's natural law. Cassandra Cain is one of the most skilled martial artists in the DC universe. Her ability to read body language makes her nearly impossible to hit, and she can defeat opponents much stronger than herself. Not only does she have Batman to train with, and by extension, all of his other kids, but her mother is Lady Shiva, one of the most dangerous and skilled people in the world, and her father was the OG Orphan, another one of the most dangerous and skilled people in the world. Training under all those skilled individuals and also having the natural determination, resilience, and fearlessness Cain does means that the chances of her losing are slim to none. Sitting at Spot 4 today, we have Green Arrow. Oliver Queen stands out because of his unique blend of skills, character, and unwavering commitment to justice, and also his backstory, because every good superhero has something truly diabolical happen to them to jumpstart a life of fighting crime. In Oliver's case, he got stranded on a deserted island. His time there transformed him from a pampered billionaire into the world's greatest archer, honing his survival instincts and combat prowess to superhuman levels because he was stuck on that island for like a year, and the bow and arrow were all he had. Green Arrow fights for the everyday people, using his wealth and resources to champion the downtrodden and take on corruption at its roots, making him a true man of the people. His mastery of archery is unmatched, but he's also a capable hand-to-hand fighter. He never lets the darkness of his missions consume him, maintaining his sense of humor and personal connections while relentlessly protecting his city. The combination of skill, heart, and indomitable spirit makes Green Arrow one of DC's most unbeatable and respected street-level heroes. It should come as absolutely no surprise that we have yet another Bat family member here. This is their genre. Making the top 3, we have Kate Kane, better known as Batwoman. Batwoman brings military discipline, detective skills, and advanced combat training to her war on Gotham's underworld. A former top cadet at the United States Military Academy, Kate was forced to leave after refusing to betray her principles, but she channeled her discipline and skills into crime fighting. Her combat abilities are on par with the best in Gotham, and she attacks with precision and overwhelming force, often taking criminals by surprise. Kate excels at both solo and team operations, using advanced strategy and deception to outmaneuver opponents. Her arsenal rivals Batman's, featuring custom gadgets and throwing weapons that she wields with deadly accuracy. Kate's unbreakable willpower stems from personal tragedy and a deep sense of honor, as she is driven by a need to protect Gotham at all costs and refuses to be defined by her trauma. And then for today's runner-up, we have Luke Cage. With unbreakable skin and super strength, Luke Cage is virtually impervious to most street-level threats. Cage possesses a regenerative healing factor, allowing him to recover from injuries at a rate 3 times faster than a normal human. Beyond his physical powers, Cage is a master street fighter and skilled martial artist, having trained under Iron Fist, and his tactical intelligence allows him to outmaneuver most opponents, even though stronger than he is. What truly sets him apart is his deep connection to his community. He fights for the people of Harlem, using his powers to protect and uplift those around him, which combined with his leadership qualities and unwavering sense of justice, makes him one of Marvel's greatest street-level heroes. To finish off our list, taking the top spot today to no one's surprise is the Dark Knight himself, Batman. Batman might not have superpowers, but he has created such a reputation for himself that you would never know that. In fact, some people believe that he is a superpowered individual and find it harder to believe that he's just some guy in a bat costume. There was once a hilarious scene in which Green Lantern could hardly believe that the guy he'd been fighting demons alongside was really just a guy. Well, I mean, it's hard to say that Bruce Wayne is just just a guy when he has unmatched detective skills, is a tactical genius, and is always at his physical peak. He has inspired a whole legacy of vigilantes and routinely overcomes threats far above his weight class without superpowers. His relentless training in science, forensics, and detective work makes him the world's greatest crime solver, while his access to the Wayne family wealth equips him with cutting-edge technology, gadgets, and vehicles that give him an edge in any urban conflict. Batman's strategic mind allows him to anticipate and counter nearly any threat, earning him a reputation even among superpowered allies as the most dangerous man on Earth. His moral code, discipline, and ability to function under extreme pressure or pain further cement his status as an unyielding force on the streets of Gotham, making him the ultimate street-level hero who consistently triumphs against overwhelming odds. Alright, I really wanted to start us off strong with part 2, and who better to kick us off than Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones combines raw superhuman power with relentless determination and sharp street smarts. After surviving a traumatic accident and exposure to experimental chemicals, Jessica gained superhuman strength, enough to lift cars, punch through walls, and take down foes 100 times her size. That's an exaggeration, but the point is she is that girl. Her enhanced durability allows her to withstand brutal attacks and recover quickly from injuries that would incapacitate most people, making her incredibly hard to put down in a fight. While she possesses the ability to also fly, Jessica rarely uses it because she gets airsick. What truly sets her apart, however, is her resilience, not just physically but mentally. After surviving psychological torment at the hands of mind-controlling villain Kilgrave, Jessica developed a resistance to psychic attacks, making her even harder to manipulate or break. As a private investigator, her keen intellect and unyielding pursuit of the truth make her a nightmare for criminals who think they can hide in the shadows. Flawed, but fiercely honest, Jessica Jones is a hero who never backs down, no matter how tough the odds, making her one of New York's best street-level defenders. For today's number 9, I don't know if this could be considered a wild card, but they certainly are a wild cat. Wildcat, but you might know him as Ted Grant, stands as an unstoppable street-level hero in the DC universe because of his mastery of boxing, his fighting spirit, and indomitable will. As a former heavyweight boxing champion, Ted possesses peak physical condition, lightning-fast reflexes, and a tactical mind honed by years in the ring. His fighting prowess is legendary, never been defeated in the ring, except one time when he fought against Muhammad Ali in like the 70s because they really were just writing anything back then. Wildcat has trained many of DC's best fighters, including Black Canary, Catwoman, and even Batman. Wildcat's reputation is further bolstered by his rumored 9 lives, a mysterious ability that allows him to recover from seemingly fatal injuries and making him almost impossible to put down for good. Ted usually won't use high-tech gadgets or flashy powers and instead relies on his strength. He has got his head in the game. Ted Grant's combination of raw skill, unyielding spirit, and the heart of a champion is what makes Wildcat an unstoppable force at the street level. Unsurprisingly, more Bat family members are included in part 2, so in spot 8 today we have Red Hood aka Jason Todd. Originally the second Robin, Todd was the one that was brutally attacked by the Joker and fans when they voted for DC to eliminate the character in the first place. However, DC later decided to bring Jason back and resurrected him. He came back older, angrier, and stronger. His unique blend of raw street smarts, extensive combat training, and relentless determination make him the type to send criminals running. Originally a troubled youth from Gotham's crime alley, Jason was adopted by Bruce Wayne after a chance encounter while trying to steal the Batmobile's tires. After his resurrection, Jason's skills surpassed those of a typical vigilante. He trained with new groups, mastering martial arts, detective work, and firearms to a level that is even better than Batman himself. He also gained mystical abilities such as summoning the All-Blades, which is really not talked about enough, to combat supernatural threats and developing immunity to toxins. What truly sets Jason apart though is he is one of the only Bat family members that will end somebody. It caused a lot of tension within the family, however it's unsurprising that he does it considering his last moments as Robin. Jason's combination of tactical genius, expert marksmanship, and hand-to-hand prowess, and his deep understanding of Gotham's criminal elements make him a relentless force on the streets. At number 7 we have Moon Knight. Now his street level status is up for debate considering where he got his powers and everything like that, but he also often deals with street level problems, so let us know what you think of this choice down below. Mark Spector, known as Moon Knight, combines combat skills, tactical genius, and supernatural resilience. Trained as a boxer, US Marine, CIA operative, and merc, Spector is unsurprisingly a master of numerous martial arts and weaponry. His multiple identities, Stephen Grant, Jake Lockley, and Moon Knight, allow him to gather intelligence from all walks of life, giving him an edge over criminals. skills. As the avatar of the Egyptian god Khonshu, Moon Knight has survived mortal wounds and occasionally gains enhanced strength, prophetic visions, and a supernatural endurance, especially under the full moon. His willingness to absorb pain, relentless pursuit of justice, and capacity to rise again even after death make him a relentless force on the streets, feared by both villains and other heroes alike. Up next, number 6, Blue Beetle. Jaime Reyes, known as the Blue Beetle, stands out as an unstoppable street-level hero due to the unique fusion of his humanity and the alien technology of the Scarab. The Scarab, an advanced sentient artifact attached to Jaime, grants him a high-tech suit of living armor that activates in moments of danger, enveloping him in a protective shell that can withstand energy blasts, physical trauma, and even re-entry to Earth's orbit. This armor is highly adaptive, allowing Jaime to conjure virtually any weapon or tool that he can imagine, ranging from energy cannons and plasma blades to shields and flight-enabling wings, making him a versatile and unpredictable combatant. Beyond raw power, the Scarab's AI provides Blue Beetle with enhanced situational awareness, universal translation, and access to vast alien knowledge, enabling him to analyze threats and outmaneuver opponents on the streets or against metahuman adversaries. Jaime's strength is amplified by his strong sense of responsibility to his family and community, driving him to protect his city with relentless determination. The synergy between Jaime's resourcefulness and the Scarab's limitless potential makes him a force, one that can adapt to any challenge, making him virtually unbeatable. At the halfway point in spot number 5 is Black Canary. Dinah Drake, known as the Black Canary, stands out due to her exceptional blend of metahuman power, elite combat training, and indomitable spirit. Raised on the tough streets of Gotham, Dinah honed her fighting skills in a dojo before gaining her signature Canary Cry, a devastating sonic stream capable of incapacitating even the toughest opponents. She can outfight and outthink many street-level threats and supervillains alike. Dinah's adaptability and resourcefulness make her a force of nature in any urban battleground, while her unwavering commitment to protecting the innocent cements her reputation as an unstoppable vigilante. Whether leading a team or standing alone, Black Canary exemplifies what it means to be unbeatable on the streets. Her unique powers, combat prowess, and unbreakable will set her apart from any adversary. Coming in at number 4 is Huntress. Helena Bertinelli, known as Huntress, is known for her relentless drive, elite combat skills, and deep understanding of the criminal underworld. Raised as the daughter of a powerful family, Helena's early life was marked by tragedy when her family was eliminated, fueling her quest for vengeance and justice. This background gave her an unparalleled insight into criminal psychology and operations, making her an exceptional investigator and tactician. Huntress is a master of martial arts, and she wields her signature crossbow with chilling accuracy. Her training has pushed her to peak human condition, granting her superior strength, endurance, and agility compared to most adversaries. Unlike many heroes, Helena is willing to operate in morally gray areas, using intimidation and psychological tactics to dismantle criminal organizations from within. Her fearlessness, resourcefulness, and refusal to be intimidated, combined with her alliances with groups like the Birds of Prey, make her nearly unbeatable in the gritty, unpredictable world of Gotham's streets. In third place, we have Kamala Khan, known as Miss Marvel. She's an unbeatable street-level hero thanks to her unique combination of polymorphic powers, resilience, and deep connection to her community. Her primary power is body morphing. She can stretch and elongate her limbs, allowing her to deliver devastating punches, stride over obstacles, and adapt her form to pretty much any situation. Kamala's shape-shifting ability also enables her to disguise herself or slip through tight spaces, making her exceptionally versatile in urban environments. She possesses a healing factor that lets her recover rapidly from injuries, ensuring she can withstand the dangers of street-level crime fighting. Beyond her powers, Kamala's intelligence, her leadership, and unwavering sense of justice makes her a beacon for her Jersey City neighborhood, allowing her to outthink and outmaneuver threats. Her adaptability, both physically and mentally, ensures that she can handle any challenge the streets throw at her, making Miss Marvel a truly unbeatable force at the street level or even the cosmic level. In second place, we have Red Robin. Red Robin, or Tim Drake, is a member of the Bat family and honestly kind of forced his way in. This was the kid that figured out Batman's secret identity and then convinced a grieving Bruce Wayne to let him be the next Robin after the tragedy of Jason Todd. Now, all of Batman's kids are smart, you kinda have to be in that line of work, but Tim is generally considered the smartest with an IQ of 142 and an analytical mind that rivals even Batman's. His detective skills are on par with the Dark Knight himself, allowing him to solve complex complex mysteries and anticipate criminal moves with uncanny precision. Trained by Bruce in martial arts and acrobatics, Tim is a peak human athlete and a master of stick fighting. His expertise in computer hacking and gadgetry enables him to wage war on crime both on the streets and in the cyberspace, making him adaptable to pretty much any threat. Beyond his solo capabilities, Tim's leadership has united heroes and teams like the Teen Titans, proving his ability to inspire and organize others against overwhelming odds. And finally, at number 1, you called us out for not putting him on the last list, and honestly I am sorry for leaving him out, so here he is, Iron Fist. Iron Fist is kind of having a moment right now thanks to Marvel Rivals and also just like who the hero is. Danny Rand, aka Iron Fist, stands out as one of Marvel's most formidable street level heroes due to his unique blend of mystical power and unmatched martial arts mastery. Trained in the mystical city of Kunlun, Danny Rand earned the title of Iron Fist by defeating the dragon Shao Lao and earning the creature's heart, granting him that mystical energy. The power allows him to strike with explosive force, capable of shattering steel, knocking out superhuman opponents like Luke Cage, and even damaging the shield helicarrier with a single punch. Beyond raw power, Danny's chi grants him enhanced strength, speed, agility, stamina, and durability, pushing him beyond peak human limits. As a master of countless martial arts styles and a tactician who adapts to any opponent, Iron Fist has defeated or just held his own against elite fighters such as Wolverine, Spider-Man, and even Black Panther, sometimes without even relying on his powers. This combination of mystical energy, healing, and martial arts prowess makes Daniel Rand an unbeatable force on the streets, able to overcome both physical and supernatural threats while maintaining humility and a relentless drive to protect others.
Number 10. Red Canary. On his part 1, AJ talked about Black Canary, who I personally really wanted to also discuss on this list. So because of that, I decided I'd tell you about another Canary adjacent character. This one is an up-and-comer who might not be super powerful yet, but who you might want to watch out for when it comes to her potential as a hero. Red Canary was inspired by the hero Black Canary to become herself a hero in the same bird style and title. As far as we know right now, her name is simply Sienna. She took up the mantle after the death of the Justice League, believing them to actually have died, and thinking the world needed new heroes to replace the League. However, of course, Black Canary and the other heroes would return, they weren't really dead, but Red Canary has chosen to stay on and fight as a hero still. When it comes to her skills and powers currently, she's an experienced martial artist, which honestly is super street level just in and of itself. Red Canary also fights with the Screama sticks like Nightwing, but her sticks were stolen from a villain and as such are also kinda high tech. Number 9. Jonah Hex. Jonah Hex initially started out as a hero from the Wild West. He made his first appearance in the 1972 comic All-Star Western issue number 10. He was introduced as a famed bounty hunter who gained prominence at first during the frontier days in the 19th century. Jonah is not your typical hero, but is instead an anti-hero who is killed many times over, but attempts to stick to his own personal moral code, fighting back against his own violent instincts to keep himself in check when need be. He also wears a Confederacy uniform because he actually did fight in the American Civil War, but he actually wears it to like atone for his past sins because he sees that as like a bad thing. So in case you were wondering why he's wearing that, that's why he's wearing that. It's a statement. It's not him actually believing in what the Confederates were fighting for during the Civil War. Number 8. Black Lightning. Black Lightning is a hero that we truly do not talk about enough. Initially, Jefferson Pierce appeared in the 1977 Black Lightning comic in issue number 1. He was a vigilante who typically could be found fighting crime in the inner city. Pierce himself by day is a school teacher and principal, but at night he becomes the vigilante Black Lightning. Jefferson can create raw electricity and use it to fight crime by emitting blasts, creating shields which boost his strength, and using it to teleport even. He also has a healing factor. Not only is Jefferson powerful when it comes to his superpowers, but he's also studied with Batman in hand-to-hand combat and is considered himself an accomplished athlete. He also brings his own everyday skills of teaching to the table, which makes him a pretty decent leader, I would say, when he needs to be, and also means he is quite educated and smart when it comes to his knowledge base. Number 7. Detective Chimp. While Detective Chimp has dabbled in the realm of the spiritual and mystical, he is also ultimately a private detective, which puts him pretty much at street level by default. However, as is clearly evident when it comes to this list, this does not mean that Bobo T. Chimpanzee should be underestimated. He may be a chimp, but he also possesses one of the most gifted minds on all all of planet Earth. Bobo is immortal, granted this power by the magical fountain of youth that he once drank from. It also gave him supreme intelligence, allowing him to communicate with and understand humans as well. When it comes to his detective skills, he is on par with heroes like Batman, making him basically one of the best detectives in the entire world. He also has some skills when it comes to combat, even if it isn't his forte per se, and like I said, he has some knowledge of the occult and magic as well. Over his life, he has possessed the Sword of Night and the Helmet of Fate. Number 6. Static. Static is based in Dakota City, and this is often where we see him operate when it comes to him fighting crime. Initially, Static was a part of Milestone Comics, but this comic line ended up getting bought by DC, and recently even saw its line of comics within DC relaunched. Yay! Static himself has been a part of the DC universe since before that relaunch though, although with it, Static himself, along with the other heroes from Milestone, also saw a revamp somewhat of their origin stories and their looks. Instead of it being a gang war that Virgil was caught up in when his powers activated, he was instead attending a Black Lives Matter protest with his friends. When experimental tear gas was deployed in an attempt to stifle the protest, the substance, which, like I said, was experimental, resulted in him and others attending getting superpowers. This event, like in the original comic series, would become known as the Big Bang, with Static being referred to as a Bang Baby because this is where he gets his electromagnetic and electrokinetic powers from. Number 5. Blue Beetle. While everything may feel like it's coming up hamey with the release of DC and Warner Brothers' Blue Beetle film rapidly approaching us, Ted Kord was Blue Beetle prior to Hamey's appearance, and even now, he still is Blue Beetle. Hamey is also awesome, but I thought I would inform those who may not know about this about the Blue Beetles who have actually come before. Ted Kord did die in the New Earth continuity, but I believe he is still alive and well in the Prime Earth continuity, which is the current main continuity when it comes to DC Comics. Ted Kord as Blue Beetle is a genius who is even on a similar level to Batman when it comes to his own ingenuity and inventing skills. Not only that, but he is also a skilled computer hacker, an acrobat, a martial artist, and he has experience piloting. And that's on top of all of the stuff his suit can just do by itself, so yeah. Pretty impressive. Number 4. Nightwing. One of my all-time favorite heroes, especially lately with Bruno Redondo and Tom Taylor working on the amazing Nightwing book. Goodness, what an amazing time to be alive and be a Nightwing fan right now. When it comes to Nightwing, you can typically find him swinging above the streets of Bloodhaven, which tends to be where he is based ever since he decided to move out from Batman's shadow and become his own hero, with Dick Grayson moving from Robin to Nightwing. As Nightwing, Grayson is basically like a more optimistic version of Batman, except that instead of being a millionaire, at least not normally he's a millionaire, he tends to be more a person of the people. In fact, he even struggles sometimes to pay rent like most people do. And even recently, when he did inherit a massive sum of funds following Alfred's death, he decided to use this newfound fortune to actually fix up the city of Bloodhaven, promising to give pretty much all of it away through investing in various sites and programs that can better help Bloodhaven fight against the crime and corruption it faces and its residents face daily. I just love that. I love how Dick is like, I just got a bunch of money, I'm not even gonna keep it, I'm just gonna pretty much give it all away. I'm still gonna stay a man of the people. Number 3. Hellblazer. Also known as John Constantine, the original Hellblazer from Vertigo was very much a street level hero. And yeah, back in the day, this was one of the names that he went by, Hellblazer. Well, he was more of an anti-hero, I guess I should say, but I doubt we'll ever do a top 10 most powerful street level anti-heroes in DC Comics because that would be a pretty niche list, even for us. So I figured if I wanted to talk about John on a list like this, now was basically my chance, so I'm taking it. Constantine initially started out as basically an occult-based detective. He answered calls for help around London and did his best to sort out supernatural matters that were often extremely dark and challenging problems to solve. Seriously, go back and read the original Hellblazer series, it is an experience. While there are likely smarter detectives out there when it comes to their brain power, John is probably the most ruthless detective we have over at DC Comics. He's very wily. He's willing to do all sorts of questionable things in order to fix a problem, and even will put his and others' souls on the line when he feels it's necessary. Underline others, because I feel like John also really loves to barter with other people's souls and lives. Number 2. Batman. Batman is my favorite hero out there, so of course I have to include him on this list. He is after all the ultimate street level hero, which might feel weird to say considering how big of a hero he has become when it comes to his fame. But at the same time, Batman started out just patrolling the streets of Gotham, and Gotham has always been his city. Sure, he's gone international, he even started his own international network of Bat-themed or affiliated heroes with Batman Inc., and Batman has even gone to space and traveled through time. But at the end of the day, Gotham is his home, and it's the place he always returns to. When it comes to some of his most iconic stories, this is where they take place, and the city is what Batman is often fighting to protect against all odds. Number 1. Danny the Street. Danny the Street has to be the ultimate street level hero, because, well, he's literally a street. Danny the Street made his first appearance in Doom Patrol in the 90s in issue number 35 of the second volume. Danny himself is a sentient street that can teleport anywhere around the world. He controls what appears on the street and who he decides to house there, with of course the street literally being him, often providing a safe haven for the outcasts of society, especially those who are outcast because of their sexual orientation or their gender identity. But not always. He takes all kinds of outcasts, I would say.
In at 10, Punisher. Lieutenant Francis, or Frank Castle, also known as the Punisher, is a former Italian-American U.S. Marine who served in multiple tours of duty, including the Synagogue War. This bravery in combat earned him the Bronze Star, Silver Star, and 4 Purple Hearts. Tragedy struck though when his wife Maria and children Lisa and Frank Jr. were killed after witnessing a mafia hit. Consumed by grief and driven by vengeance, Frank transformed into the Punisher, sporting a distinctive head skull on his chest, and he made it his life's mission to eradicate organized crime in all of its forms. Armed with cutting-edge weaponry, he wages a relentless war against criminals as just his own self, like a lone wolf, drawing upon his combat skills, expertise in guerrilla and urban warfare, and sharp destructive tactics. The Punisher adopts very hostile means of taking out the mafia and hunts down those who he deems responsible for eliminating his family. But yeah, dude's a dark hero unless he's having food fights with Archie Andrews, which actually happened. In at 9, Black Widow. Natasha Romanoff's early life is the subject of varying accounts. One version tells of a fire in Stalingrad in 1928 that consumed the building where infant Natasha and her mother resided. In a desperate act, Natasha's mother threw her out the window to safety, where she was caught by a Russian soldier named Ivan Petrovich. Ivan became her steadfast guardian and foster father throughout her life. Another account places the fire during the Battle of Stalingrad in autumn of 1942. While under Ivan's protection, Natasha was abducted by Baron von Strucker and taken to the Hand, an organization of assassins in Madripoor. However, it was revealed that Natasha had been working undercover, following orders from an undisclosed source. Her abduction served as a ruse to infiltrate the Hand and assassinate their leader, the Onin. Logan, also known as Wolverine, intervened and killed the Onin instead, simultaneously freeing Captain America, but yeah, which is weird because then Natasha would then work with Captain America, despite being, yeah, it's a whole thing. The timelines are weird when you have super soldier and like Wolverine powers and you don't really age. In at 8, Black Cat. Felicia Hardy's father, Walter Hardy, was a renowned cat burglar who instilled in his daughter's mindset a sense of never settling for mediocrity. He encouraged her to pursue her passions wholeheartedly, urging her to aim for being a basketball player rather than just a cheerleader if it was her true passion. During her freshman year in college, Felicia attended a party that turned into a harrowing experience where she was almost attacked by a drunken fellow student in a bathroom. Fortunately, another student named Ryan intervened, saving her from the assault, and from that, Felicia and Ryan formed a close bond, spending a lot of time together. However, the friendship took a dark turn when Ryan insisted that it was time to take their relationship to a different level, disregarding Felicia's objections. Refusing to be a victim again, Felicia rejected the idea and made a decision to seek revenge against her assailant, even if it meant facing dire consequences. She dedicated herself to intense training in various combat techniques and acrobatics, setting aside her studies, and then after months of preparation, she embarked on a path of vengeance driven by her determination to bring justice to her attacker. And while she is sometimes depicted as a villain, she does often help Spider-Man when it's for the greater good. But if there's any money to be made in it, Felicia will typically want to make the money. But I mean, I guess I can understand that. We love a girl with spunk. And at 7, Elektra. Elektra spent years working as a bounty hunter and hired assassin. During a contract in New York City, she discovered that the blind adventurer of Daredevil was actually Matt Murdock. They then joined forces to combat Bullseye, who was suffering from a deteriorating mental state caused by a tumor. While Daredevil did disapprove of Elektra's profession, their connection remained strong, and after escaping from Pleasant Hill, Elektra sought redemption for the lives that she had taken by applying to rejoin S.H.I.E.L.D. She aimed to cleanse her conscience and make amends, and her initial assignment involved taking charge of Phil Coulson's former team. Yes, that Phil Coulson. As a part of her duties, she was tasked with apprehending Coulson for his interference with Captain Marvel's plans regarding the Inhuman profiler Ulysses Kane and his predictive justice. Elektra's involvement also aided S.H.I.E.L.D. director Maria Hill, yes, Robin Scherbatsky, in uncovering a mole within Coulson's team who was eventually revealed to be Leo Fitz. And at 6, Hawkeye. Clint Barton, also known as Hawkeye, is a highly skilled marksman and archer from America, where he started his journey initially as a circus performer and minor supervillain, but eventually became a valued member of the Avengers. Despite occasional conflicts with the team, Clint always returned to fight alongside his fellow Avengers against any threat, cause, you know, yeah. Dude kinda has like a Robin-esque origin story too. Being raised in a circus and trained by criminals, Clint still overcame a troubled youth to become one of Earth's greatest heroes. He is widely recognized for his exceptional mastery of a bow and arrow, displaying extreme precision and never really seeming to miss unless he means to. Throughout his career, he formed a strong friendship with Black Widow, aka Natasha Romanoff, and was married to fellow superhero Mockingbird, with whom he co-founded the West Coast Avengers. But I guess they don't film in Vancouver. Haha, it's a joke. Halfway through into number 5, Moon Knight. Mark Spector, operating as the vigilante Moon Knight, had a remarkable journey. Once a mercenary left for dead in the desert, he was granted a second chance when he was resurrected by the moon god Khonshu. Becoming Khonshu's champion and high priest, Moon Knight took on the role of a nocturnal avenger, safeguarding those who traversed in the shadows. However, Mark's life is not without complexity. He grapples with dissociative identity disorder, with different personalities such as the wealthy Stephen Grant and the taxi driver Jake Lockley. During his early days, Moon Knight fought crime with the assistance of a network of allies, including his loyal friend Frenchie Duchamp, the resourceful Bertrand Crawley, and Port of Diner owner Gina Landers. While Mark mostly operates as a lone crusader, he has been associated with various superhero teams throughout his career. He served as a member of the West Coast Avengers, the Secret Avengers, and the Heroes for Hire. But yeah, Moon Knight is kind of a dope thing that was actually pretty niche until the series came out anyway. And at 4, Deadpool. Yeah. Okay, you knew this was gonna happen. Wade's recollections of his childhood are filled with conflicting memories. At times, he remembers his father abandoning his pregnant mother, leading to her directing anger towards him until Wade grew up and started hurting her instead. Or on the other hand, he's also recalled his mother passing away when he was 5, leaving him in the care of his father, who was a military officer. Nonetheless, Wade's account of his father being an absent figure who told bad jokes and left him with his mother when he was young kinda contradicted earlier memories, but yeah, it's Deadpool. You can't really believe anything he says, but you also kind of have to believe everything he says, otherwise you have nothing. It's kind of like FNAF in that way. But his mother, in that version, sought solace in humor, alcohol, and home shopping networks. Kind of like every aunt on TV ever. Wade believed that running away from home would spare his mother from spending what little money they had on him, but in a surprising twist, it was eventually revealed that Wade's parents were still together and living in Canada. They had preserved his room just as he had left it, but upon returning as an adult, Wade failed to recognize the house, his parents, or his own room. So yeah, that's complicated. That sounds like a Disney Channel original movie. I'm not even kidding. I feel like this is actually a Disney Channel movie plot. And at 3, Captain America. Steve Rogers, also known as Captain America, the first Avenger, faced numerous health issues that led to his rejection by the US Army during World War II. However, he seized the opportunity to volunteer for Project Rebirth, a program that administered the super soldier serum developed by Dr. Abraham Erskine. This transformative serum greatly enhanced his frail physique, something that I could use, elevating him to the peak of human physicality. Known as the Sentinel of Liberty, Captain America fought alongside his closest ally Bucky Barnes and the Invaders, aiding the Allies in achieving victory in the war. However, his fate took a turn when he was lost at sea and remained frozen in suspended animation for several decades. I don't know how that could happen in an ocean, but okay, that's fine. Suspension of belief, it's comics. Eventually, he thawed out in the modern era and then continued his valiant struggle alongside a new team of allies, the Avengers. Captain America's unwavering loyalty lies not with politicians or governments, but with the timeless principles of freedom, equality, and justice that embody the American dream, which is kind of contradictive because that means that he would be loyal to the American government because it's the American dream, but oh well, I digress. But yeah, he has superpowers and he's a street hero apparently, so there you go, blame the wiki not. Penultimately, in number 2, Spider-Man. Yep, Spider-Man's on this list too. Spider-Man, often known as a lone vigilante, has become an integral part of the superhero community and has forged strong alliances with various teams like the Fantastic Four and Avengers. Along his journey, he's faced formidable adversaries including Doc Ock, Electro, Kraven the Hunter, Mysterio, Venom, Green Goblin, who's obviously his arch arch nemesis who actually resulted in the death of Gwen Stacy. But in his civilian life, Peter's just kind of a dude. He's not really supposed to be that handsome, he's not cool, he's not fun, but he does actually have a support network that includes Mary Jane Watson, Harry Osborn, Flash Thompson, and at times J. Jonah Jameson, despite him literally trashing Spider-Man at all times, but again, he doesn't know, so it's a toss-up. But following the ups and downs of his startup company Parker Industries, Peter had to balance his Spider-Man duties with returning to college, all while becoming the target of a malevolent entity known as Kindred, which tormented him relentlessly. But again, somehow, the dude has to pull his punches, otherwise he'll just kill someone by flicking them, and he's considered a street hero because he fights thugs, I guess. Dude's been to space. Dude has had the power cosmic. How is he a street level villain or superhero? Whatever. It doesn't matter. How is he street level anything? Whatever. Moving on. And finally, in at number 1, Daredevil. Matt Murdock, blinded as a child but gifted with heightened senses, fights for the underprivileged in New York's Hell's Kitchen as a zealous lawyer during the day and as the agile and skilled martial artist Daredevil at night. Raised by his father, an aging boxer, Matt was encouraged to pursue education and intellectual pursuits rather than relying on physical strength. However, after witnessing his father's death at the hands of gangsters who demanded that he throw a fight, Matt swears to fight injustice both in the courtroom and out of it. Initially portrayed as a swashbuckling, carefree adventurer, Daredevil was later reimagined by Frank Miller in the 1980s as a tormented hero who suffers a series of tragedies. Miller introduced the character of Elektra, Matt's first and greatest love, who ultimately became an assassin and was killed by Daredevil's enemy Bullseye. But despite his pain and suffering, Matt continues to fight for justice, which is a good thing. But also, I realized this recently, Daredevil and Matt Murdock being blind and Superman's glasses are the same disguise.
Number 10, Catman. Catman is a hero who does not get enough love. He was originally a villain until Gail Simone flipped the script with his character, redeeming him by having him join the Secret Six. He'd later go on to become their leader. Catman was once the enemy of Batman. His power set currently is also connected to his kinda cat-like mantle, with him being believed to have 9 lives and enhanced sense of smell, at least in the Prime Earth continuity. Traditionally, some of his powers in the New Earth continuity were connected to his suit, but regardless, he has always been a gifted hunter, fighter, acrobat, and in that previous continuity was also considered a genius, which so many people in the DC universe are. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving what we do here at Top 10 Nerd, please go check out our newest channel, Most Amazing Top 10 Anime. Number 9, Ricochet. Ricochet is a really interesting hero. He's actually a mutant, but has also been spotted as a one-time member at the Avengers Academy. He also is a former member of the Slingers, which was where he was first introduced in their eponymous series in the 1990s. While the Slingers would later disband, they have since returned in the comics, with Ricochet being reunited with his former partner Dusk, who believed he was being held against his will when he simply had taken up a job with Beyond and was participating in experiments involving interdimensional tech. Ricochet's mutant power grants him enhanced agility and dexterity, which also lends to him having a power similar to Spider Sense, where he can basically feel when he's in danger, and also makes him a skilled marksman as well. Number 8, Wildcat. You know Black Canary? You know Catwoman? You know Batman? You know Superman? Well then in a way, you know Wildcat. Ted Grant is Wildcat and he has trained all of those superheroes. If you've seen them go to blows with the villain, there's likely that you're seeing some of his skills on display there as a teacher and a boxer. Ted Grant was framed for the death of one of his opponents as a boxer years ago, and that's what has inspired him to become a fighter for justice, becoming a hero in his own right who served on the Justice Society of America. Number 7, Hornet. Hobie Brown is a hero who does not get enough love, not by a long shot. He recently appeared alongside the Slingers in the Amazing Spider-Man series during the Beyond event. He appeared in a side story that was featured in one of the Point Bays, or perhaps I should say the Point Bs, since that's short for Beyond. I still like saying Point Bay though. Hobie is known for his genius intellect, although he initially thought a life of crime was the right way to go with that, adopting the identity of the Prowler on Earth 616, but Spider-Man was quick to encourage his reform, even giving him work impersonating Spider-Man to protect Peter Parker's secret identity. He initially used his genius to build his first suit, which was where he basically got his powers from, possessing, no superpowers himself. He has since also built his newest suit for his heroic mantle of Hornet, and honestly, I'm really hoping we get to see more of him and the Slingers in the comics soon. The Slingers are so cool. Number 6, Huntress. For this version of Huntress, we are focusing on Helena Bertinelli, who unbeknownst to her had had grown up in a mafia household. When a hit was put on her family, she was one of the only people that survived, and really only survived by accident. She trained in the old country of Sicily, being taken in by her father and uncle, but eventually learned the truth of her own family's involvement with the mafia, and learned that the mafia was not really good but a source of corruption and evil. When she returned to Gotham to visit a family as a teenager over the holidays, she witnessed Batman attack her family, and rightfully so, she thought. She didn't really like her family. Inspired by him and the fear that he created, she decided to follow in his footsteps and become a vigilante with her life devoted to wiping out the mafia in order to get her revenge. Number 5. Elektra. Elektra is often thought of as more of a villain in the comics, and more of a dead villain really, since, well, she's mostly famous for kind of dying and thereby breaking Daredevil's heart, as she was his lover, his former lover. In fact, she was the first love that Daredevil ever really lost, which has kind of become his thing. Although, even before she died, she was kind of lost to Matt Murdock in terms of their love story anyways. Elektra was pulled to the side of darkness, but would later return in the comics and has since turned to the side of good, even walking in Matt's footsteps and donning his cowl, becoming herself a version of Daredevil. Number 4. The Question. The Question has been asked by a few different people over the years, and honestly, the Question is a character that probably doesn't get enough love on this channel. Whether we're talking about Vic Sage, who randomly lives again despite having previously died from cancer, or Renee Montoya, his GCPD detective who was his former love interest, who was later revealed to be gay and then later followed in her mentor Sage's footsteps, or the other one, the nameless one, who was kind of less cool than either of the other iterations in my opinion. The Question is an interesting character. While things got a little too magical with the newest version of the character, I've always loved that the original Question was both a master detective but also somewhat mystical as well, having much knowledge of things both spiritual and supernatural gathered through his travels. While not particularly well known for his fighting style, Vic did train Renee Montoya, who was already a pretty good fighter, being a trained boxer and police officer who also became a skilled martial artist, and even at one point managed to hold her own for a period of time in a fight against Lady Shiva, with Shiva even remarking on how the fight was more interesting than she initially expected. Which, from Lady Shiva, hey, that's a compliment. Number 3. Moon Knight. Moon Knight is a hero who many people now have more respect for thanks to his appearance in the MCU in his own series, Moon Knight. Here he is depicted as a man divided who brings all sides of himself together to take on god-level threats. If that isn't strong, I do not know what is. But even in the comics, Moon Knight has always had this potential really. While street level in terms of the types of fights that he generally picks across personas, he also has an origin and background steeped in the supernatural and in mysticism. A lot of people think of Moon Knight as kind of just like a crazy guy who's really good at beating people up, but in reality he potentially gains power from the moon due to his connection to the, as of now, confirmed to be real god known as Khonshu. Aside from that, Moon Knight has also literally had to fight gods, even having to fight against his own god during Age of Khonshu. This likely has dampened his power source somewhat, as Khonshu is currently locked away, but Moon Knight still remains a powerful hero regardless. Number 2. Batwoman. Batwoman doesn't get hyped a lot on our channel unless we're talking about the Bat family or queer representation in comics, I feel. At least speaking for my own list, and when I tend to talk about Batwoman, but she deserves to be hyped just for being a powerful hero in her own right. Kate Kane is the cousin of Bruce Wayne, and I just realized that their names rhyme. Kate Kane, Bruce Wayne. What the heck? She was kicked out of the military for being gay and ended up deciding to put her skills and abilities to good use as a vigilante instead. What's even more impressive is that although Kate only ever wanted to serve after losing her mom and her sister, she actually admits to being gay as opposed to hiding it, which is what causes her to have to leave the military. She couldn't bring herself to lie about it, and honestly, this shows one of Kate's greatest strengths and most prominent traits: honor. Kate Kane is a hero even skilled fighters like Cassandra Cain look up to, and she's proven to be skilled enough to take out an unsuspecting Batgirl, aka Barbara Gordon, which is no easy feat. Barbara Gordon is a pretty impressive fighter. Number 1. Danny Rand. Or Daniel Rand if we're being formal. While I do sometimes like to poke fun at Danny Rand, the fact remains that he is insanely OP, especially for being a street level superhero. While no longer the Iron Fist currently in the comics, Danny Rand for a long time was the guy you thought of when you thought the words Iron Fist. He's defeated dragons! Even without the Iron Fist power though, he is still a master martial artist who could probably only be rivaled in terms of his skill by the likes of someone else just as gifted, someone like another deadly martial artist superhero like Shang-Chi. Rand has complete control of his nervous system and can also withstand pain and achieve a sense of control over his body using meditation techniques. His senses are so great and attuned that he doesn't even need to be able to see his opponent to fight them, and he has been said to be a master of Qi.
Number 10. Blind Spot. Appearing for the first time in all new, all different Point One Number 1 from October 2015, Sam Chung was born in rural China, growing up to become an excellent gymnast before his mother eventually illegally brought Sam and herself to the United States. While Sam hadn't really received any formal schooling, he was a genius, and at the age of 12, he had already started putting together blueprints for an invisibility suit. In adulthood, Sam would work as a university janitor, which put him in a perfect place to develop his genius intellect. He would convince professors to let him audit their classes and use their labs in the middle of the night, which is where he finished his invisibility suit. Deciding that his status as an illegal immigrant would harm him if he tried to patent the suit, he decided to instead put it to use as a vigilante, protecting the streets of Chinatown as a hero called Blind Spot. While out on patrol one night, he ran into Daredevil fighting thugs in Hell's Kitchen and decided to seek out Daredevil as his vigilante mentor. Number 9. Cheshire Cat. Lian Harper is actually the child of another street-level hero, the former sidekick to Green Arrow, Roy Harper, aka Speedy, aka Red Arrow, aka Arsenal, aka the guy who has a lot of names, and a lot of problems. A large part of those problems is that Roy lost Lian when she was a thinking her to be removed from life at the hands of the villains Prometheus and the Electrocutioner. In reality though, Lian had somehow survived, but was suffering from amnesia. Her earliest ever memory is being rescued from a band of ninjas by the sometimes hero, usually villain known as Cheshire. Now Cheshire then abandoned Lian on the steps of a church, and then years later, having grown a little bit, Lian went by the name Shoes and joined the Alleytown Strays, which is a group of street kids in Gotham's Alleytown area. They survived as thieves living in an old building which had once been the headquarters of Mama Fortuna. Now eventually, Catwoman arrived and announced that she had bought the building and intended to turn the Strays into a gang of thieves under her own leadership. The Strays helped Catwoman to bring down the organized crime groups operating in Alleytown and become the Queen of Alleytown. Now Shoes, or Lian, decided to become an amateur vigilante in Alleytown, taking the name Cheshire Cat and wearing a homemade mask based on Cheshire's own look, with Catwoman taking her on as a protege. Eventually, Lian would reunite with her dad and join the Team Arrow. Number 8. Night Thrasher. Dwayne Taylor grew up believing that his incredibly rich parents were soft-deleted by criminals, and so Dwayne made a vow to make all criminals pay for their crimes. Yes, you probably have heard an origin very similar to that one before. Now Dwayne's guardians, Sergeant Cord and the elderly housekeeper Ty, supported Dwayne in his vow and helped him create the identity of Night Thrasher. After doing some hardcore training, on his first outing, he met two sibling vigilantes named Midnight's Fire and Silhouette, who were taking out criminals by gaining their confidence and then betraying and busting them. After joining the pair one night while Silhouette was infiltrating a criminal operation, the police showed up out of nowhere and it became an extremely tense situation, with Midnight's Fire terrified that the police were going to attack his sister. So he went to attack with a throwing knife instead. That is when Night Thrasher stopped him, leading to a shootout. Now during the altercation, Silhouette was hit and badly injured in the spine, almost taking her life. For this, Midnight's Fire swore to get revenge on Night Thrasher, who had left the group thinking that Silhouette, who he had fallen in love with by the way, had passed away. Now after that, Dwayne trained even harder, and using his parents' resources and foundation, Dwayne, which sounds a lot like Wayne, got access to state-of-the-art headquarters, training facilities, and computer support systems, while also developing specialized armor and weaponry. Recruiting several young heroes, Dwayne eventually formed the New Warriors, and from there, he has only grown. Recently, we learned that Night Thrasher is actually going to be getting his own new solo series, and I will absolutely be reading that. Number 7. Wildcat. first ever appearing in the back pages of the very first issue of Sensation Comics from 1942, which also contained the premiere of Wonder Woman, the original Mr. Terrific, and the Atom. Ted Grant is one of the world's best hand-to-hand fighters, particularly when it comes to boxing, being the one to train several other DC fighters, including Batman himself. Now, Ted's dad, Henry Grant, was a good guy, but also a bit of a pushover and a bit of a risk taker. He took it upon himself to make sure that Ted would never be taken advantage of like he was, and so Henry taught Ted how to box. He had taught and trained him so well that Ted became a wildcat in the ring. Now, unfortunately, Henry was pretty broke due to poor life choices, and so he was unable to put Ted through college. Instead, Ted had to take on loading jobs in the East End warehouse district. This is where one of the warehouse unloaders was being ambushed by a couple of thugs, and using his skills with boxing, Ted fights off the thugs, reading each thug's move before they make it. This unloader just happened to be an old boxer, and he brought Ted into the professional boxing world, where he would be framed for taking a life. Ah, scary. He then took on the vigilante name Wildcat in order to clear himself, and eventually joined the Justice Society of America, training heroes, fighting crime, and even eventually gaining 9 lives. I don't know how that happened, but there you go. Number 6, Thunderstrike. Okay, before people get up in arms, I'm going to be talking about specifically the second Thunderstrike here. The original Thunderstrike was a guy named Eric Masterson, and through his time with Thunderstrike, he eventually merged with Thor in the late 80s before fully taking up the Thor mantle in the early 90s, and then eventually getting his own hammer and becoming Thunderstrike. Now, Eric had a son, Kevin Masterson, but unfortunately, due to Eric being increasingly involved with Thor and gods and supervillains, he began to lack in the father department, and so Kevin went to live with his mom and stepdad. Now, eventually, Eric passed away after being possessed by the Blood Axe and fighting the Egyptian god and villain known as Seth, and his Thunderstrike mace was then taken by the Avengers, and eventually it was given to Eric by Captain America himself. Now, given the Asgardian nature of his superhero origins, Thunderstrike isn't exactly a street level hero, but this is one of the reasons I love his character. He feels very street level, and I've seen him listed as a street level hero before, but Kevin has also been a part of the Asgardians of the Galaxy, and he teamed up with the Mighty Avengers, but several street level heroes have done the same thing, so I'm curious to know how you guys would classify him. Number 5, the Creeper. Usually when people think of Gotham City heroes, it's immediately Batman and his Bat family, and even though it seems like they are the only ones around here, there are a few other characters. Creeper is one of them. Jack Ryder was an outspoken television reporter for a Gotham City TV station, with the premise of his show being that he deliberately antagonizes his guests in order to raise attention on important topics like stem cell research and medical nanotech. It was when he began research on the revolutionary nanocells therapy of one Dr. Vincent Yates that Ryder discovered an experimental mixture that allowed the body to regenerate from practically any injury of any kind. Ryder was caught by mobsters when he attempted to steal this experimental mixture, and unable to escape, Dr. Yates injected his last sample of these nanocells into Jack Ryder himself as an attempt to keep it safe from the mobsters. Almost immediately afterwards, the mobsters grabbed Ryder and brought him to the pearly gates. However, the regenerative substance of the nanocells kicked in, interacting with his body chemistry and resurrecting him as the Creeper, a beast-like alter ego. He would defeat the villains and go on to team up with Batman and become a Justice League reservist. Number 4, Sleepwalker. Another street-level hero whose powers and origins could kind of raise him out of that classification if you want to be a stickler about it. Sleeper is part of a group called the Sleepwalkers, who are basically Dream Police. These entities would go around apprehending any beings that decided to invade the sleeping minds of humans. The one who would become Sleepwalker was tricked by his longtime foe, known as Cobweb, into entering the mind of a New York college student named Rick Sheridan, where Sleepwalker then became trapped. After Rick and Sleepwalker confronted each other a few times inside of Rick's own dreams, which I have to imagine is insanely trippy and terrifying, Rick reacted pretty poorly when he tore off Sleepwalker's Imaginator. Now, an Imaginator is basically a badge-like device worn by Sleepwalkers to teleport around their home plane, the Mindscape. This basically tied Rick and Sleepwalker even more together than ever before. Now, whenever Rick slept, Sleepwalker could materialize into reality, or he could stay in Rick's mind and hang out with him. While hanging out in those said dreams, Sleepwalker was able to convince Rick that he was not some kind of evildoer, and they worked out an agreeable agreeable terms to cohabitation together, in Rick's own mind. As a weirdly dream-based street-level hero, Sleepwalker had a really unique and rather silly rogues gallery, including 8-Ball, who literally wore a giant 8-ball and used billiards-based equipment, which is hilarious. There was also the ultra-nerdy Bookworm, who was able to manifest physical representations of any written material, which is so cool. And then there was also Lullaby, who could put people to sleep and control them by singing. Number 3. Jack in the Box. The Astro City comic is one I know I never really talk about, but it boasts a roster of beloved superheroes, with one of the most intriguing being the clown-based hero Jack in the Box. Now normally, clowns are playing the role of villains in comics because they're terrifying. Thanks mainly to the Joker though, I would say. In that regard, Jack in the Box is a bit of a breath of fresh air. Inspired by other acrobatic street-level heroes, Jack in the Box is actually the alter ego of Jack Johnson, an African-American toy designer for Whamco Toys. Now Jack had considerable talent, but was only paid half the salary of his less productive white co-workers. His toys were actually so successful that they, for some reason, began to be used by the mob to attack people. Now this got Jack fired and even led to his father being kidnapped, which is when Jack created his Jack in the Box persona to fight back. Using almost cartoony gadgets like spring-loaded catapults built into his gloves and boots to help him get around and fight using agility, confetti streamers that tangle up and or capture bad guys, and electric clown noses, Jack took on both the mob and his own corrupt ex-employers until he tragically passed away, leaving his son Zachary to fill in the role until he hung up his superhero clown shoes, passing the mantle to his protege, Roscoe James. Number 2. Shroud. Similar to Night Thrasher from earlier on this list, and several other heroes who have a thing for beating up criminals in the night, Max Coleridge lost both of his parents right in front of him at the age of 10, leading him to dedicate his life to combating crime. But instead of using insane amounts of wealth to dress up in armor and pointy ears, Max went to law school, trained as an Olympic-level athlete, and studied science. It was after graduating that he got really weird. Max joined the mysterious temple called the Cult of Kali, or Kali, where he became a master in a whole bunch of Asian martial arts and in infiltration, but also worshipped their dark goddess. When he had completed his training, Max was surprisingly branded with the Kiss of Kali, with the cult using a red-hot iron in the shape of their symbol on Max's eyes, completely blinding him. But after the pain subsided, Max found that he had been granted a psychic perception that allowed him to see impressions of his environment within a radius of about 100 feet of himself, even through solid walls. And for his very first go at things, he decided to follow the Fantastic Four to Latveria and try to take the life of Dr. Doom, which he actually did fairly well at. But unfortunately, it's Dr. Doom, and Shroud's defeat came pretty soon afterwards and actually drove Shroud insane. After recovering, he went on as a vigilante, fighting alongside other heroes and gaining Dark Force dimension powers and occasionally struggling with his sanity again. Number 1. Colleen Wing. After the death of her mentor, a warrior named Azumi Azawa, Colleen Wing moved to Japan and was trained as a samurai by her grandfather, Kenji Ozawa. Now thanks to a mix of her grandfather's training and her blood flowing through her, Colleen took quickly to her samurai training, which eventually elevated her to become a world-class fighter, performing at the very peak of physical level. After she had completed her training, Colleen moved back to New York City, where she used her abilities to work with her father and as a private investigator, which led her to working with other local street-level heroes, most notably Misty Knight. Over the years, she has co-owned Nightwing Restorations and Daughters of the Dragon with Misty Knight and plays important roles with all the different versions of Heroes for Hire as one of the most dangerous people on the planet.